Next game on the list, Brad, we have Denver, according to Bovada, is plus 10.5 at Minnesota.
I something about Minnesota really worries me.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
that
you know what it is Cousins now has proved us wrong twice on national TV. That was the big question, right? That we've been dogging him. We got to give him credit here.
For sure, 100%.
He has made us look. We got kirked as soon as we criticized him. He came out that 4-touchdown game. We got kirked, and then we came out and we said that Minnesota would not cover and he would have a bad game against Washington. Well, they didn't cover, but he had a really good game against Washington, and then he had a nice game against Dallas. On Monday Night Football, hits Rudolph twice in the end zone there without Thielen, mind you. Had a really nice game.
He may remain on thin ice with us because as soon as he goes out in a big game and lays an egg, he's right back in there, right? He's got to put in a little bit more time.
Well, let me say this to the Minnesota fans out there who think that we're dogging Kirk Cousins. I want to remind everybody that I did grow up a Redskins fan. If you're catching this, I'm repeating myself for the podcast, but if you're catching this segment fresh, I don't care about the Redskins anymore because Dan Snyder's evil. But yeah, Kirk Cousins, I like Kirk. I am actually a Kirk Cousins fan, but I know him very well, and I will say he's better now. And, I will say this, for as much crap as he was getting the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, I'll say that, Kirk Cousins always has that ability to, overcome that stuff. Because he got a lot of that in Washington. And he came out, and right when we started dogging him, and I like him, remember, right when I started dogging him, it's just like I got Kirk smacked right in the face. I got kirked. And
you got Kirk.
Yeah, he got me, and he's playing well. So I think that's why they got to scare you a little bit, because he's growing as a quarterback, and good for him, good for Minnesota. Bad for you and Packers fans.
Yeah, no, Minnesota is very scary. I think they're a very good roster, and it makes me quite nervous.
Yeah. Well coached too, man. I like Zimmer a lot.
I do too. I think they're a strong organization.
Kubiak since Kubiak got there as an offensive consultant too. I mean, that run game, Dalvin Cook is awesome. When Thielen gets back, they're a nasty team, man. They really are.
They are a nasty team, right?
And to what you were just saying about Dallas, that's what we were saying about Minnesota earlier in the year. The difference is, I really think it's coaching, man. Zimmer's got that team going. They're just really good. The defense is back. Last year they were a little bit, they were banged up last year in 2018. I mean, they're getting better at the right time. So, man, they're good, which is good because I actually predicted them earlier in the year to make the playoffs, and I think that's looking good for me right now.
Yeah, normally I don't like the 10.5 point, that half or even 1.5 point scares me, but I think they handle their business at home. I think they outmatch Denver completely. I think it gets rowdy up in Minnesota this weekend, and I like them to take it.
Yeah, it's an interesting game to me. I wrote down 23-16, Minnesota an easy cover. Now, I'm going to do a deep dive into this one, too. So, again, if you're picking this up on YouTube later in the week, keep an eye out in the top right after, we do the videos and all that, because I'm going to go into this and look at the numbers. Minnesota should win this game easily, but Denver's defense is playing like I thought they would play when we entered the season. It's almost like, they're getting more comfortable with the new system and all that stuff. They're just playing better and better and better. I think Denver's defense has an ability to keep this within range. I would say 10.5 is too much for me to take at this point. But then again, I don't know what's going on with Flacco. I don't know. He might have even been put on the IR. So he might be out after criticizing the coaching staff there. I'll double check that, everybody. But the offense worries me. I don't know. I mean, I would take this off my board. 10.5 is too much for me. If I have to take a pick now, you know what? I'm just gonna go back on my word. I'm gonna say I'm gonna take Minnesota. I'm gonna give them some respect. We'll see if Thielen will play. It would not shock me if this is like a 20-12 game. It really wouldn't. But I'll take Minnesota. I'll give them some love because we haven't been giving them enough love on this show for as good as they've been playing, and they've been proving us wrong. So I'll give them the opportunity to prove me wrong again and say, damn it, I should have known. Fantasy-wise, don't play. Okay, Courtland Sutton you can play. I don't like anybody else for Denver. Minnesota, obviously Cook, you got to play him every week. I don't like this matchup for Cousins this week. I think, like I was saying, Denver's defense is playing better. They're a bad team, but you got to respect what that defense is doing. Diggs, I guess you play. If Thielen's healthy, I would play him, but he comes with some risk as well because he could always re-aggravate that hammy issue.